Hey Sanjay, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Dr. Fabian. Thank you. Nice to be here.
No, thank you so much for taking a few minutes. Before we talk about all things data and AI, let's learn a little bit more about your current role and responsibilities and maybe your past journey in tech, if that's okay.
Sure, no problem. So I'm part of automotive product management team here at Qualcomm. I'm a senior director of product management. I've been in automotive product management role for the last couple of years. Before that, actually, I was working in XR, driving the XR product management, and then IoT, driving basically various subsystems like drones, robotics, and media. And before that, I was actually in engineering, leading some of the projects at Qualcomm, driving the SoCs from conception to the launch, and all the way to the customer launches, etc. So it's been a fantastic journey over the last 20 years, I would say.
No, thank you so much for the overview. It sounds super interesting. I'm really excited about our conversation. Let's start with the really high level. What are some of the implications of Gen AI, or what does Gen AI mean for Qualcomm at the moment? Also from a sort
Um,
of Gen AI strategy standpoint.
yeah, generative AI basically is kind of, I would say, center of every business unit, whether it's smartphones or whether it's automotive or XR or compute. Uh, I think over the last couple of years, I would say things changed a lot in terms of what actually can AI can do to the people in terms of their day-to-day activity. If you take for example on the smartphones or compute, you have a companion or co-pilot, Microsoft calls it, with you to help you with summarizing the emails, summarizing the meetings. And then if you move on to XR, you look at something and then you can actually ask the assistant to tell about it. It can use the multimodal language models, understand what the image is and tell you more in textual form. And now coming to automotive, of course, voice assistant is going to be a very key part of the journey because the screens are becoming very big in the vehicle. So to interact with those big screens rather than the touch, your voice is going to be a natural way, and you can actually talk to the car and ask about anything. So I would say generative AI is very key for us. And what we're trying to do basically is how do we optimize and how do we run bigger and bigger models on the SoC or on the edge. That's what the goal for Qualcomm, and that's what we're actually looking at for the last few years.
Thank you so much. There are definitely a few areas I would like to delve a little bit deeper into in a moment, but let's start with the automotive industry on sort of a strategic level. If you would have to describe your observations of where the automotive industry is currently as it relates to Gen AI to someone who isn't working in the industry, what would you say?
Yeah. Yeah. See, I think I would say if you look at the automotive industry and generative AI can actually help automotive in multiple areas, whether it's the design or concept phase, or basically in the factory, in the assembly, or post production, and then for for the passengers, or basically the drivers and the people in the cabin. So you can actually use Gen AI in any of these things. But let's dive into cabin experiences, right? Right. I mean, AI assistants are there in the vehicle right now. They are available, but people may not use it effectively because it's very hard to remember every word. You have to use exactly the same phrase. For example, set hatchback to 65. I mean, I don't remember exactly every time. If you change from that, it's you have good luck basically getting the assistant respond to you. But Gen AI coming in and helping out in terms of the natural language processing is very interesting because you can talk to the vehicle and say, hey, it's getting hot here, do something. Then the assistant understands what the user is trying to do. It's like you and I talk most of the time. So I would say it's transforming how the cabin experience will change over the last years, and then you will definitely see a lot more in the next few years, how the cabin experiences will change at all.
Do you feel like that these use cases that automotive companies are currently exploring with are enough? Do you think they should move faster in certain areas? Do you think they're being overly conservative, or do you think they underestimating some of the risk and should potentially slow down?
No, I think, see, first of all, for generative AI experiences to come into the vehicle, you need a powerful SoC. What I mean by powerful SoC is to run a model like Llama 2, if you take, it can go from 1 billion all the way to 70 billion, right? But what actually you can run it on the SoC right now or on in the vehicle right now? For example, if you pick a Qualcomm's Generation 4.5 or Snapdragon Cockpit SoC, you can run up to 7 to 10 billion parameter model. So you need basically an SoC where you can run a big enough a model that will give you a good accuracy. Second one is to run these models, you need a good amount of DDR. If you take a 7 billion model, for example, you quantize. I mean, we actually at Qualcomm use int4 as a quantization technique. If you do an int4 quantization, you need anywhere around 4 to 4.5 GB of DDR. And then if you bring in additional stuff like context, KV cache, and basically if you have some documents to be kind of like stored in vector DB, you're looking at close to 6 to 7 GB of memory, allocated for AI assistant kind of use cases. So I think it's going to take time, but I do believe OEMs are transitioning towards that, getting basically an SoC where you can run AI or LLM model on the edge, basically enough memory, and then obviously enable experiences based on these things. And the last thing I would like to say is whatever you do, you might need to rely on a very big model sometimes. For that, we coined the term hybrid AI, where you do certain stuff on the vehicle and then some stuff on the cloud. How basically these two coordinate, when to go from local to the cloud, all of that architecture is coming up right now. So you need to have some of these to make sure a powerful generative AI experiences can be brought in to the vehicles.
No, thank you. That does make a lot of sense. Drilling a little bit deeper into that area of edge. First of all,
Yeah.
let's maybe start by explaining what specifically do you mean by edge and why is it so relevant as opposed to, for example, cloud computing?
It's a good question, Ashwin. For example, right now you want to touch. Maybe first of all, let me touch upon what is edge. Edge is something that you're very close to you. You're, for example, in a car, you want the model and all the algorithms to run on the in the car itself. You don't want to go to the cloud. I'll tell you more about it. But when you are running on the edge, basically you have a lot of things in terms of privacy, security, and latency. All of that can be, I would say, will be in favor of you because you're not going to cloud, which will actually add latencies. If you want to say turn on your AC, in regular case you just touch a button and then boom, I mean your HVAC is set. But if you want to actually ask or talk to the assistant to adjust the HVAC, you don't want to have a long round trip delay going to the cloud and basically executing, understanding what exactly the user is asking, and then converting that into a command on the CAN that actually controls HVAC. All of that needs to happen like that, like within 2 seconds is what I hear, because that's you expect, the users expect to make it happen. So edge based use cases are very important. You want the things to be very fast. And then let's touch upon the security and privacy. Vehicles have a lot of sensors. I mean, you heard about the DMS camera, driver monitoring system camera, occupant monitoring system cameras, and a lot of surround view cameras. So there's a lot of sensor information that's there, and users are kind of concerned sometimes about, hey, what information is going to the cloud or will be out there. So processing all of this on the vehicle is very important, and that's when I think users will start trusting and will actually start using the assistant more and more. If your everything is processed locally. Cloud, is what we meant by cloud is, you have a model running somewhere, either in a OEMs or the like BMW or Mercedes Benz, kind of a premises, or it can be some of these cloud providers, like whether it's a Google, Amazon, or whoever the cloud providers are. Your models and running and inferencing is happening there. So we are basically trying to enable use cases that run on the edge, will bring a lot of the security and privacy concerns. to the lowest, so that users can start adapting to the the assistants.
No, thank you so much for the explanation. Linking this back to this point of Gen AI, why is Edge so important in the context of some of these Gen AI use cases that you elaborated on?
Yeah. So I think I just talked about some of the HVAC or the cabin control experiences. But if you go to the next level, for example, when you buy a car, you get like 100 pages or 200 pages of user manual. Nobody reads that. And when something happens on the vehicle, nobody knows what exactly happened. But with the edge-based LLMs, what you can do is the use cases, like we call it as a RAG, document retrieval, as a term, a retrieval augment generator. With that, what we can do is we feed these user manuals that are customized for your vehicle to the model, and then the model basically, when you ask, hey, how do I install a car seat? You get an exact customized response for your vehicle. You don't get something else that is out there in the cloud. So those are all use cases that you can enable by bringing in these models. And a few things that we actually talked and demonstrated at CES and other places, predictive maintenance or diagnostic support. Sometimes you get these flashing lights on the dashboard. Nobody knows what exactly that means. Again, you have to go back to the user manual, which is 300 to 400 pages. But by feeding all of these documents to the LLMs, now we can talk to the assistant and ask, hey, what is that warning light that's coming up on my dash? The assistant can actually understand what exactly is triggered. I mean, there is something called DTC, diagnostic troubleshooting code, that gets generated, which is what most of the technicians will use. The assistant can actually tap into the CAN network, understand what DTC codes are, and tell you in a plain English what exactly the problem is. And then by connecting this to some of the endpoint services on the cloud, for example, a dealer management system, you could actually connect and send this data to the dealer, schedule an appointment to fix that problem. Even you can get a quote from the dealer saying that how much it might cost you, because they have all your DTC codes or the information on what might have gone wrong in the vehicle. So everything actually is going to be much more smoother. So we do see a lot of these use cases coming in by bringing in models on the vehicle. Now you have model running in the vehicle, so it has all the information that's happening in the vehicle network, so that it can actually help you with the exact request that you might have.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. Sounds like there's loads of value to unlock. The question
Yep.
is, where are automotive manufacturers currently, and what are some of the biggest challenges they're facing in the space?
Yeah. See, I think first of all, a lot of the OEMs are already transitioning towards bringing in these assistants into the vehicles. If you see Tesla, I think it's already doing a lot of these activities. China, for example, most of the OEMs are talking about how do you can enhance your experience in the vehicle. I mean, they have a. I mean, I've seen some demonstrations and also some advertisements where a family comes into the vehicle because they spend more than an hour to 2 hours in a commute. You can talk to assistant, in the rear seats, for example, or in the driver side or in the passenger. Each passenger can actually interact with the assistant, get a customized response. For example, how do I do this map problem, or basically tell me more about dinosaur, things like that. All of that information, can be actually, you can get that from the assistant. And then to your other question, how is it going to transition? As I said, really, OEMs are adapting to these powerful SoCs so that they can run the model on the edge, because that's very important. At the end of the day, you can run a lot of the stuff in cloud, but it's not scalable. I mean, especially number of users. I mean, how many vehicles that are manufactured. Pretty much 60 million unit or vehicles will be manufactured every year. So imagine, that much of a queries going into the cloud. It's not sustainable, right? So getting a lot of these onto the edge is very important, and OEMs are now trying to get, as I said, powerful SoCs, higher DDR, larger density, things like that, so that they can actually bring in these experiences to you.
Last time we spoke, you mentioned a term, hybrid AI. First of all, what is hybrid AI and why does it matter?
Yeah. See, as I said, models, these LLMs can range from 1 billion to 70 billion. Of course, every day I would say, because this is this technology is so fast. I mean, every day you'll see advancements happening, even though now the lower parameter models can do much better, but still to get the accuracy sometimes, and also for things like reasoning or mathematical kind of computational queries, you might need a powerful or the bigger model. So hybrid AI is basically kind of using for certain queries the LLM model on the car or in the edge basically, and then going to the cloud for certain queries where there's a need for getting more information, or basically even sometimes you can think of I don't know if you know the term speculative decoding. There are two models run in parallel where the draft model or the smaller model generates the tokens that are going to be sent to the bigger model. It's called target model, to make sure those are accurate, and basically the target model accepts or rejects it. So hybrid AI basically kind of uses some of these techniques to make sure you actually use available compute and the models on the vehicle, and then go back to the cloud for certain queries and get the response. And kind of orchestrating between these two is the right word, right? So that you get a better responses for the users. So that's what hybrid AI does. Yeah.
No, thank you so much for the explanation. It's really clear. Transitioning away a little bit from the immediate automotive space, we're both product managers. What I'm sort of personally, I have been wondering about for the past couple of months is how does Gen AI, and especially some of these Gen AI solutions available on the market already, change our profession as product managers? I was just wondering if you've got any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think generative AI is helping product managers in every way, right? Of course, I mean, leaving the automotive itself, but now the LLMs are so powerful, it can actually give you a business case or tell you what to do, if you have a business case or if you have a goal, what exactly needs to be done, it can write for you. So, of course, I mean, you can tap into some of the capabilities of the LLMs where it can generate, the text for you, and then enhance that for further. So how you delicately balance what you can rely on the LLMs versus what basically you want to add on top of that is very important. I think as all of us as product managers working on this latest and greatest technologies, we need to really understand how to use the technology effectively. I mean, these days you have now Copilot from Microsoft can summarize things for you. It can actually start creating a action list for you. So really, I mean, I think you need to see how some of these key benefits that you can get from LLMs can be used, and then eventually apply that into your technology, like automotive, for example, as I said. In my opinion, a lot of stuff like AI agents, things are like that going to come in. So we need to keep an eye on how to bring in some of these agentic AI, into the vehicle and develop use cases around that. At the end of the day, we are looking at AI to enhance the comfort of the users, or of the drivers, or of the passengers, right? That's, I think we need to really look at it now, how exactly you can use the technology and enhance the comfort, and bring a lot of these into the users and passengers, etc.
No, thank you so much, Sanjay. Final question from my side. Imagine that you're talking to one of the, assuming that Rod exists, chief data and AI officers at one of the large incumbent automotive manufacturers. What would be your top three recommendations to unlock the most value of Gen AI and future-proof the organizations in this regard? Yeah, now and in the future.
Yeah, it's a very loaded question. I think the key is, as I said, data. I mean, as I said, in the vehicle, you have so much of data coming in. I think it's really important on how do you make sure the data is secure. That's going to be one of the key concerns from the users. I mean, to enable access, for example, you're turning on the DMS, driver monitoring camera. I mean, the user is going to be cautious all the time, and we need to kind of comfort him that, hey, your data is secure. So I think security is going to be very, very important. I think that needs to be looked at. Second one, obviously, how do you use all of this data with the fusion. You have sensors, the cameras or radars, lidars. You have location information coming in. How do you like use all of this data, and then basically with the data fusion, enhance the experiences? For example, the driver or the user is going to a workplace or to a game. How you use that information and then basically bring in services to the users. If he's going to a game, offer parking tickets or offer basically game tickets or some discounts on the surrounding area, right? So how do you use all of this data? So data fusion is going to be very very key important. And then obviously the privacy. I think I mentioned about security, but privacy is very very important. So security, privacy, and then how do you use all of this data uh, and enhance the or bring in the services is going to be key.
No, thank you so much, Sanjay. That's been a fascinating, super insightful conversation. Really appreciate that you took the time for this today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.